Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new season of We Need to Talk. I am your host, Malynda Hale, and this season we have an incredible lineup of guests. So thank you so much for tuning in. Your support has meant so much to me over the last 2 years, and it is only because of listener support that I've been able to make this show grow. So if you'd like to be a part of our Patreon community and have access to exclusive content and support the show that way, you can go to patreon.com/Malynda Hale. Now, to kick things off for this season, my guest today is an actor and a rap artist. You've seen him in the Warner Brothers summer blockbuster The Meg opposite Jason Statham, and he is currently starring alongside Wanda Sykes, Mike Epps, and Kim Fields in the new Netflix series The Upshaws. Mr. Paige Kennedy, thank you for being on the show today.
Yo, what up, though? Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here in your presence.
Absolutely. You know, I'm a singer and I've done a lot of acting as well, and I know that it's a common thing for people to do a crossover. But which started for you first? Were you more interested in acting, or was music your first passion?
I was a rapper first. I started rapping when I was like 7 years old, and it persists all the way through elementary school, middle school, high school, college, coming here. So I didn't actually start acting until I got to college. So, everybody from Detroit, like they all thought that I was going to be a rapper because that's what I was my whole life, which I am a rapper, but they thought that that was going to be the thing that I probably went to do. Uh,
Yeah.
but then the acting opportunities presented itself, even though I put myself in a position for it to present itself, but that's what popped off first.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, the music came first.
So you grew up in Detroit.
Yeah.
So who are your influences in music?
Um, Eminem for sure.
Love him.
Uh,
Love him.
Eminem, Race to 5'9". Growing up, my Detroit influences were Awesome Dre, Detroit's Most Wanted, Esham, um, MC Breed.
Hmm. I
Those
love
were,
that. Those-
when I was a kid growing up, and coming to age. Those are the people that I was listening to from Detroit.
So when did acting come into the picture?
When I went to community college, I went to community college to play football, and then that didn't work out for me. So I was like, well, I'm here now.
Yeah.
I guess I'll be a theater major, seeing as
Yeah.
I want to do movies and stuff. And then I got in the theater, and I did well in community college. And then I decided to go to the best school in Michigan for acting, which was
Hmm.
West Michigan University. And I continued there. And then I wanted to continue my education because I wanted to be great. And I went to graduate school at the University of Delaware for Shakespeare.
Oh wow. Good for you. What
Yeah,
plays
a
did you
little
do?
Shakespearean train.
I love that. Come on. Come on, Shakespeare.
You know what I mean? You probably wouldn't see that coming from Detroit. You know what I mean? A rapper from Detroit,
But
but
I love that. I love that because, it's funny that you say that because even though I do like more pop singer songwriter music, I went to school for opera. And so a lot of people wouldn't think that either. So we're kind of aligned in that. Yeah.
that's reality right there. You know what I mean?
I love that. I love that. What are some of the plays that you did? Specifically Shakespeare. That's what I'm curious about.
I did Othello. I did
Okay.
Richard the Third. Um, Merry Wives of Windsor. Um, I read and am familiar and have recon on most of his plays, but those are the ones that I in particularly were in.
I love that. And I love that you chose to do that on your own because I think in general, a lot of Black people don't get exposed to that. Don't get
Mhm.
exposed to opera, don't get exposed to Shakespeare and things like that, which I wish there were more arts programs, specifically in the inner city, to expose our community to that because the
Yeah.
richness of it. And I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how grateful I was for the education that I received in
Oh,
music. So I'm
definitely.
sure, yeah, I'm sure you have the same experience.
Yeah, I mean, actually, when I first was introduced to Shakespeare, it was in my I forget what acting class it was, but when they first started talking about it, I was like, Shakespeare. And at that point, the only thing I knew about Shakespeare was words that I don't say and Romeo and Juliet or something like that.
Right.
And the first assignment we had was to read something from A Midsummer Night's Dream. and I could not get past the first paragraph. The first paragraph of A Midsummer Night's Dream, I could not understand what I read. And
Yeah.
so I stopped and I went to class the next day and I was like, look, I don't talk like this. I don't understand it. I don't get it. And my teacher, Fred Saboski, he said, listen, you should love Shakespeare. He was the first rapper. And
Mm.
and when he started to explain to me how to read it, how to get it, the things that I should be looking for, the things that I love as a rapper that he does that I'm not even paying attention to. So like all like I have an obsession with beautiful words. And so you will hear me, in my normal speech, like say beautiful words because I love them. And that was one of the biggest parts of why I love Shakespeare is because he had all of these beautiful words. Then he had all of this imagery that I would do as a rapper. And sometimes they're run on uh thoughts, like the imagery and the metaphor kind of runs on for multiple sentences. And I do that as a rapper. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And then the most salient part of why I love Shakespeare are the stories.
Mm.
Once I got into what the stories were, and I realized that even in 1463, the same love, betrayal, murder, fascination that is now was these stories.
Yeah.
I loved it because I'm like, this shit's still happening today.
It's still relevant. It's still relevant.
And so I had to break through like how convoluted it was and to break it down into parts, and once I did that, the amalgamation coalesced into this beautiful art form which I love today.
I love that. Well, let's talk about your rap music. You've put out 3 studio albums, and I've seen that you've collaborated with a lot of heavy hitters in terms of production for your music. And for me, I've always viewed music as a way to share your views and your beliefs. And I always say this, but music truly is a universal language. And I think whenever you're trying to get across a point or express an emotion, music is one of those art forms that really helps people have different perspectives or come to terms with what they're feeling. And I noticed that you had a lot of social, political issues in your music. And was that always the route that you wanted to go, or did that kind of come to fruition in the last year, within terms of like the themes that you've been writing about and rapping about?
Yeah, this is something that just came to be within the last year because I've never been a socially conscious person, like
Mm.
because I just love everybody. I just walk around and I spew love and positive energy. um I don't drink, I don't smoke, I'm non-violent, I'm non-confrontational. I just want to love people, all people, because Michael Jackson is the biggest thing in my life and that's
Mm.
what I learned from him. And so I tried to shy away from these topics and things, and also because I didn't think that I would be able to speak intelligently about it because I didn't have all the stats or the schematics, and so I just was like, I leave that to people like Ti, Killer Mike. I'm not militant black, but then it's so much happened, you
Yeah.
know, and uh, it was so prodigious in nature of what was going on that I just could not stay silent. I
Right.
needed to use my gifts and my art to express myself in the way that I do. So, yeah, maybe it's not going to be in the same way someone else does, but I can do it in my way and get it across how I need to in the art form that I have. And so that's why I use this time to galvanize the troops to vote with
Hmm.
fear and safe, and then that just kind of snowballed into I want to make a song for black women. They deserve it and they need it, and so I created Queen. And
Hmm.
so I just started to make songs that I think were important to disseminate the plight of black people right now.
Was there a tipping point for you when you're like, okay, I really do need to speak out now?
Yeah, the what, May, literally this month of last year,
Mm-hmm.
when
Hmm.
everything hit the fan. You
Yeah.
got COVID, and then you got, you know the COVID against us. Like it just, and then we had the election coming, and the country seemed to be divided because of Trump,
Hmm.
and I was like, I gotta say something. I got, as opposed to just running out every day shouting on my balcony, we need change. I was like, let me go and
Right.
help spark the change that we need, which is
Yeah.
to get us out to vote. And so that's what that incentive was.
So there's a couple things because I know you're a father, and I'm a new mother. I actually had a pandemic baby. I had a baby in March of last year,
Hey, the
and
pandemic baby.
yeah, they're gonna be different. Let me tell you, these kids are gonna be different.
Yeah, right.
But I know you're a father, so when it comes to these social issues, how do you have conversations with your kids about this, or is it something that you actually try to shield them from until a certain age, or like what is your approach as a parent?
Well, my approach is, I don't know if you saw the Fear and Safe video. If you haven't, you should definitely go watch it.
I haven't seen it yet, but yes, I will add it to my list. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the story of, a father with his children in the car being pulled over by a cop, and what happens, and the deleterious effects of fear on both sides and what occurs. And
Hmm.
then Safe is like the follow up to it from the mother's perspective. And so, yeah, my kids are definitely immersed into what's going on in the world because they have to be. They're young
Yeah.
black men. This is directly affecting them. And so, yes, they are aware. They are aware of my stance of how the decorum that you take to get home safely.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I make sure that they know exactly what's going on.
Do you think there'll ever be a point as Black parents where we don't have to have that talk with our children?
Hopefully, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Goal is that. But look how many years it's been. It's
Because
been
you
a
probably remember having that conversation, getting that talk. Because I
yeah,
remember having that talk from my parents too.
and it's been a long time, in this country. And so, when that will stop, I don't know if it will stop in my lifetime,
Hmm.
but hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully in our kids' lifetime. Yeah. So you also were really vulnerable and transparent on your social media recently, and I really appreciate it because this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, and in the last year we've seen really kind of a rise in depression, anxiety, and things of that nature. And you talked about how a few years ago after you filmed the Meg, you went through about a depression and you went through weight gain, but then you got out of that. So how did you combat that? And also, how did you not allow yourself to fall back into that during the pandemic, during such a hard time, also with just the racial injustice and everything else that's been going on in the world?
Um, well, I had to ascribe it all to God,
Amen.
who kind of leads me. But He's the one who helped me get through. I pray a lot, and I was unhappy, and I talk to Him, and I try to figure out ways to help me, because I have an addictive personality,
Mm,
and when I like something, I go all in on it. And I'm addicted to food, and so it's a constant struggle for me even now. Even though I lost the weight, it's still a struggle to keep it off because my natural penchant is to eat everything. um and so it's difficult, and even though um I am consistent in the gym and working out, that doesn't matter. The gym and working out is just kind of like the the icing on the cake. The kitchen is the main thing, and that is the biggest problem. And so I kind of go up and down. It's kind of fluid for me.
mhm.
When I'm working on something, I know how to focus my mind and brain to like really be dedicated. But when I'm not, sometimes I'm lax, and I enjoy myself. So it is fluid. I haven't mastered the or found the key of salvation. Like it's a constant struggle for me, and I have
Yeah.
to be aware of it and not let myself get too far.
Well, I appreciate your transparency because I think the more people that speak out about things like that, the more comfortable people will feel trying to either get help or just having the conversations in general. Because I think there's a human nature to almost feel shame when you have, addictive personality. I've gone through weight gain and gone through all that, especially after having a baby and during a pandemic. Like I definitely dipped into depression, but being able to talk about it really helped me. And I'm a spiritual person as well. And I grew up in the church and prayer and God, absolutely. I'm all for that. So thank you for being open about that.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about creativity during the pandemic because I know it was hard for a lot of people, but how did you stay creative and keep doing music and try not to get into those creative ruts?
Um, my son and I got into TikTok during the pandemic,
I love that.
and we were really big on Vine, and we did that for a long time, and then we just didn't feel like doing another app. But then when there was nothing else to do but create, we got into TikTok, and it got super fun. It got
Yeah.
so fun, and so we did that like nonstop. We were assiduous in our posting, and I ended up uh what maybe I accrued 2.6 million followers, like within that time.
Yeah.
And it was just a fun time, and it was fun to get this new audience and to find them and bring them into our life and to help them get through being in the pandemic as well.
That's awesome. I love that. I still am figuring out TikTok. It's not on the number one of my social media. I was like, I need to figure this out. I enjoy watching them and I appreciate the creativity because some of the things that people create on TikTok, I'm just blown away by, but I'm
Yeah,
just not there yet.
that's
Do
fun.
you get involved in all the dances or like what is
No,
your medium?
I'm not a very good dancer. But the fun thing about TikTok is it's designed to be for your specific taste. So the For You page, which is the normal popular page, is predicated on things that you like, comment on, and enjoy. And
Hmm.
so you can find, stuff that you're into on TikTok just, based off of that.
I
And so,
love it. I
yeah,
love
I
it.
don't do the dance stuff.
You're like, no, no, that's not for me. Well, let's talk about your new show, The Upshaws. I'm lucky I got to see a couple of episodes before it even dropped on Netflix. And I would say what I love about it is that it really is giving me kind of that old school Black family sitcom feel, which I love because we've been deprived of that for such a long time. I don't know what happened and why that we just got stripped of all of them, but like I miss all of that stuff. So it was really fun to see that. And obviously, you're working with veterans in the industry. You're working with Mike Epps, Wanda Sykes, Kim Fields. So what about the show really drew you to want to be a part of it?
Well, it was a different character than I've played before. And I chose to give him attributes that I haven't necessarily used in my characters before with
Hmm.
this character Duck. And, having an opportunity to work with absolute legends like Kim Fields and comedic geniuses when Wanda and Mike, like this was a no brainer for me. I
Yeah.
was happy to be a part of it and to be additive to the show
Why do you think the show is important right now?
because I think the show has a authenticity that we don't often get to see in black sitcoms, and I don't think that there's anything like it on television because
Hmm.
if you are from a certain type of area, you know maybe you don't identify with some of the other shows that are designed to make us look like one way, but maybe you really identify with this because this takes a real look at a family that is in Indiana, like in and struggling through the world and making mistakes and trying to own up to those mistakes and make it more.
Yeah.
I think people really identify with it, and because it's on Netflix, we get to curse, so that makes it even feel more real.
It feels more authentic.
Yeah.
That's funny. And I didn't even think about that because I know that Netflix doesn't have those censorship. So that probably makes creativity and writing a lot easier for people as well. I didn't even think about that until you just said it right now. I want to kind of piggyback on something that you said because I feel like in media and a lot of shows, we do see roles of Black people depicted in ways that we aren't really reflected. It doesn't reflect the dynamic of our community as a whole. So, you do think that this show does justice in terms of how we should be portrayed in television?
Well, no, well, I don't see. I don't want to say that because like one black person doesn't represent all black
Oh,
people.
absolutely. But that's what I mean, like in terms of the dynamic. Yeah.
So I don't want to say that this show is like depicts the way that we should be. No, I'm not saying that. Because I think the other shows have strived to show because before like it was good times and that's how
Yeah.
black people were, and then we move over to like family matters and we can try and show more wholesome black families, and it kind of like stayed in that vein. But this show and the irreverence of it, like I think is a breath of fresh air because we don't see that anymore. So not to say that this is the way that I feel like black people should be depicted, but this is also a reality of a lot of people's circumstances, and the story needs to be told too. They need
Right.
to be represented. They need to be able to see themselves on television as well, and I think
Absolutely.
we do that.
Well, that's good. And yeah, I want to clarify. I wasn't necessarily saying that like this show is just how Black people should be, but it is important that we show the entire gamut of how Black people are because I do think that in general, in TV and film, we are put into one little box and they don't give us the opportunity to show the range of our community. There are Black people that live in the hood and there are Black people that are also doctors. There are all Black people that do, study Shakespeare, Black people that sing opera, you know what I mean? So I love that we are getting to explore these different ranges of our community and it gives everybody a chance to be represented. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite episode?
Ah, man, they're all so good. Like I've watched this show so many times and I have not gotten tired of it. I still laugh out loud
That's
because
awesome.
the jokes are so funny and the cast is so diverse and different and unique and brilliant. And I just like my only gripe with this show is that it's not longer. We were
Mm,
supposed to do two more episodes and we didn't because of the pandemic.
hmm.
But I feel like we suffered from not having those two extra shows because I feel like I didn't get enough. It's like it's over already. People are watching this whole series in one sitting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So and everyone's like, yo, where's season two? Like, can we have it now? And that's how I feel. I'm like, how is this over? So I don't have a favorite episode yet. I have amazing moments that I love watching. Um it's just so fun. It's
Yeah.
and not just fun. There's like heartfelt things in there, like when he takes. Oh well, you haven't seen it all yet.
Don't give it away. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
you can give themes or things that you guys touch on in the show.
When Benny makes a mistake and they go through a very uh um when they have a struggle, I
Hmm.
would say. When they have a struggle in a relationship.
You like how it's handled, how it's written.
Yeah, like I love how it's written because it's not just funny, it's like heartfelt too. And it's
Hmm.
real issues.
Hmm. I think that's great. I don't want to get you in trouble, but is there any actor on set that you feel that you've learned the most from?
Yes. Kim Fields.
Hmm.
Kim Fields is my favorite. She is just absolutely brilliant in every way.
Hmm.
You know, I've learned patience and grace from her
Mm.
the most. Um, she just exudes that, and she doesn't have to, but she just does. And I watch that, and I'm just like, okay, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
I love that. That's a really cool lesson. Patience and grace are two things I feel like I don't hear people say very often that they learn from another person. So that's a
Yeah,
really
I lack
beautiful.
patience. I'm not very good at that. But watching her, I'm like, well, if she can be like this, all right, so can I.
That's great. And what's the dynamic like on set? The energy with the cast? Everybody gets along. You guys are just having a good time.
Yeah, it's a family. It's a family, and that seems cliche because you feel like most sets say that, but that's what it feels like when you spend this many hours and this much time around people that you like and enjoy and respect. It's a family.
So aside from the Upshaws, what is next for Paige Kennedy?
Um, I have a book I'm working on. I have a big, exciting movie that I'm going to do next year that I'm happy about. Um, but the most exciting thing for me is this Page album. It's just really, really important.
Hmm.
It's an important album. It's the type of album that if someone else put this out, J. Cole or Kendrick or somebody else put this out, this would be like a Grammy type of album because
Hmm.
of its importance to the community. And so, I implore you as well as everyone else to, take the time to go look at some of these videos that are um, they will really make you emotional and take you on a ride. And give perspective and then listen to this album. My favorite song on the album is called Flowers. And
I just listened to that one actually.
oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I loved it.
it's my favorite song because so often we wait till people are gone before we like express how we feel about them, and then they can't experience that. They can't be a part of
Yeah,
that. They don't know how you feel if you wait until they die. They're not the likes and comments. They can't see any of that. It's not for them. It's for you. And so how
yeah.
about? And so I've taken it upon myself. I do a flowers challenge every week where I take someone that I love, that inspired me, that made me feel a certain way, and then I give them their flowers on my Instagram, and so that everybody else can too, so that they can see it.
That's a beautiful sentiment. The other thing about your album that I was really struck by was the cover art.
Oh yeah,
Why did you? So I know people are listening, but when you go look it up, it is a collage of all of the victims of police brutality. Artistically, why did you make that choice?
because those victims are me, and I am them,
Mm,
and so I am represented through them, and they are me, and so I take you know um, all of the victims of police brutality, and I have a confluence into me. All of their images are coming through me, and I am sharing their love, their stories, their sentiments.
I love that. It's beautiful. Well, I love your energy, Paige, and I'm so glad that you were able to be on the show. I wish you much continued success. Please let everybody know where they can follow you and where they can stream your music.
You can stream my music on all digital platforms. Paige Kennedy. I'm also on social media. I engage with my audience at Paige Kennedy everywhere. And yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think of the music and what you think of the Fear Safe video and setup. And I would love to have conversations with you guys. So reach out.
And don't forget to stream The Upshaws, which is on Netflix now. And Paige, again, thank you so much. And listeners, make sure you subscribe to We Need to Talk wherever you listen to podcasts. And we'll talk to you again next time. Bye. Make sure you're following We Need to Talk on Instagram and Facebook at We Need to Talk the podcast. And again, if you'd like to be a part of the Patreon community, go to patreon.com/Malynda Hale. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.